This is a lecture for Adler Graduate School course number 504, Abnormal Psychology. I am going to present a comprehensive and systematic, yet flexible case formulation method that was proposed by Anita Jose and Marvin Goldfried in their 2008 article from the journal Cognitive and Behavioral Practice. Jose and Goldfried were a part of a psychotherapy research team that developed a coding system for conducting comparative therapy research. They set out to examine the similarities and differences between cognitive behavior therapy and interpersonally oriented psychodynamic therapy by examining what therapists focused on in their interventions. For example, how much of the focus in a therapy session was on thoughts, emotion, links between thoughts and emotions, and other interrelationships among aspects of the client's functioning. Their initial findings emphasized similarities between therapists' different orientations in terms of factors seen by them as being important within the session. This finding led them to suggest, quote, the vastly different ways therapists describe therapeutic phenomena linguistically disconnects them from clearly understanding their colleagues from other orientations. End quote, page 213. As they conducted this research, it became apparent that the coding system had clinical implications and that their trans-theoretical system for studying the therapeutic focus in a research context was modified to the case formulation, which allowed them to focus on the question, what can therapy focus on? The case system identifies different aspects of a client's functioning in a specific situation. You can see that this is a finer grain analysis than the 5-aspect model that I presented in an earlier lecture. Once an analysis of several situations has been completed, the therapist and client can look for commonly occurring patterns and synthesize them into problem areas. This analysis begins with a specific external environmental event that elicits some type of reaction in the client. Thoughts or cognitions are divided into 4 different types. Expectations reflect personal predictions or assumptions about the future. Self-evaluations are judgments or ratings of oneself and may or may not be a realistic reflection of true abilities or skills. Self-observation is the ability to step back and observe one's functioning in a relatively objective manner, and may be present to varying degrees in various situations. Other thoughts include attributions about an event, assignment of responsibility, or the labeling of a situation. Intention is what the client wanted or needed in the particular situation. This is different from an expectation because it is more active and more of a motivation desire. Emotions are broken down into 2 categories, subjective and physiological, roughly parallel to affect or mood on the one hand, and bodily function such as pulse, muscle tension, sweating, etc. Finally, action is the behavior that emerges out of the situation. The case model would add expectations, self-evaluations, self-observations, and other thoughts to the thoughts bubble of the 5-aspect model and create a separate bubble for intention. Not all of the aspects of the 5-aspect model or of the case model need to be included in each conceptualization. As a matter of fact, some aspects are used more than once. Think of a person who feels both angry and anxious when a car swerves in front of them. Clinical judgment and careful inquiry are critical factors in the selection of the most salient aspects of any conceptualization. It should be obvious at this point that the sequencing of aspects is quite variable from analysis to analysis. As a matter of fact, most clients report several aspects occurring simultaneously in their experience. The primary task in a cross-sectional analysis is to amplify and broaden the understanding of an experience, and these models both suggest areas of inquiry to pursue to achieve this task. The case system and the 5-aspect model can serve as a blueprint to obtain information about the ways in which the individual components of functioning relate to one another. Another line of inquiry is how prototypic this experience is for the client. You may wish to probe for another event or series of events that are in the same class. You can also start with one aspect from the current analysis and ask if there are any other situations where it is experienced. Identifying patterns across various situations strengthens the utility of the cross-sectional analysis. Jose and Goldfried go on to explore how the case system can be used to conceptualize interpersonal events. The client's reaction may stem from one or result in another person's behavior during an interaction. Another's action may be antecedent or consequent to a client's own thoughts, intentions, emotions, and/or actions. If this other person is not in the room, as is the case in individual therapy, the details of their unobservable functioning is likely to be based on speculation on the part of the therapist and the client. Interpersonal interactions are fertile ground for exploring expectations and intentions, as well as the accuracy of interpersonal perception.